Okay, guys, let's talk about Utah's climate a little bit. In the state of Utah, we have the steppe climate, we have the um, highland or mountain climate, and we have the desert climate. Um, Typically, when people think of Utah, they think desert, right? Um, However, the desert's only about a third of what makes up Utah. There's more steppe than there is desert, and steppe is it's like a step toward the desert, I guess. It's partial desert. Um, so it's all the land that you see around you, filled with grasses and um, shrubs and bushes. Sagebrush in particular is a very common find in the steppe region of Utah. Obviously, the highlands is going to be a little colder. It's going to be a lot more forested, a lot more about trees and a lot less about shrubs. Um, the the highland is essentially where all of our water tends to come from. We don't get much from direct rainfall, but we do get plenty from melted snow, and that's, sorry, I just saw a deer and it startled me a little bit. So the melting of the snow really wakes up the life in Utah. I think that's really what makes a semi-arid, semi-desert climate, steppe climate possible. It's that highland region. We've got lots of mountains. It provides us with some water, much needed water. We do get some rainfall in Utah. Most of the rain that we do see comes from clouds that originated over the Pacific. So we've got clouds forming over the Pacific, lots of water evaporating, turning into these clouds there. And that oceanic water that's turned into clouds moves east over the landscape. We would see a lot more of that water, except that there is a very tall mountainous region, the Sierra Nevadas, that beats us to it. If you know anything about climate, and the way climate weather works, whenever air is attempting to move from one valley location to another valley location, and there's something big in the way, on the way, it has to essentially drop some of its moisture to rise in a certain sense. And I mean, that's not the perfect way to describe the way that weather system works. I'm no master of the science of weather, but it's essentially as if you have mountains pawing at the clouds and causing them to release their moisture. So, long story short, we would see a lot more of that rain, except the Sierra Nevadas drain a lot of that rain before the clouds even reach us. So that's at least part of the reason why we have such a desert climate in this area. But you'll notice that the same phenomenon is not entirely true of the eastern coast, with storm clouds coming from the Atlantic. It's an entirely different story, really, and probably a lot of that has to do with the absence of an extremely tall and mountainous region that causes all that rainfall. So where I'm at currently, you'll notice that I've been walking this forest as we've been talking about climate here. This is an aspen forest. It's a special one. This is called the Pando. So the Pando is located off of Fish Lake down in sort of south central Utah. And it's real famous because it being an aspen forest, all of these aspens have interconnected root systems. What's also interesting is that each of these trees are genetically identical. It's as if they're all clones, either clones of each other or the exact same species, really just one organism. And that's why it has the name the Pando. The Pando is a Latin word. It actually means to spread, and or I spread, I think is how it literally translates. But this aspen forest has, they estimate, at least 40,000 distinct trees. But they're not distinct, they're identical, right? And they're all connected by their root systems, and so scientists tend to refer to this as a single organism. Since there's so many trees involved in this single organism, it makes the Pando the largest living organism in the world, which is really cool. It's pretty sweet to be here, actually, and see this for myself. I've never had this opportunity before. It's actually pretty incredible, all of the stark, beautiful things about Utah. There's so many environmental things that Utah has that other places don't. Even some of its neighbors don't share the treasures that Utah does. But something else that's cool about this particular forest is that they are pretty sure it's around 80,000 years old. So that's really old. Really old. You'll notice this part of the forest, at least, is probably the young side. This tree is having a pretty rough go, actually. Oh, it's been mauled. The fascinating thing about this forest in particular, and its age, is that if we think about the age of 80,000 years, and what these trees must have been around for, I don't know, I always think about that. Obviously they don't experience things the way we do, but it's kind of cool to be amongst a single living organism that's been around for tens of thousands of years, almost hundreds of thousands of years. That's a long time. It's a lot of history. Makes you wonder too, how many groups of people use this forest and all the uses they found for it. A lot of that remains unknown. There's so much that we don't know about prehistoric Utah, and this forest certainly stretches into that time frame. But yeah, I would highly recommend coming to see this wonder of the world. It's right in our own backyard. Who'd thunk? Well, have a great day, guys. See you around.